It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love to the Empowered Harmonizers, and a huge shout out to those of you who have recently commented and contributed to the Peace and Harmony channel. Thank you so much for your support, and I am so excited that you have found the resource and are connecting the dots, utilizing the tools. You're open to opportunity, and you're now visualizing to materializing. In other words, you're getting distinct. You're separating yourself from this toxic person, this negative influence in your life, and you're realizing ways to become empowered and really coming into an energy shift. So thank you so much. And we're going to zoom in and focus in on today's topic. And basically, that is what I am focusing in on, the state of being made powerless or helpless by a negative individual, a toxic individual, a narcissist, a psychopath, a borderline, someone who has an ulterior agenda that is not in your best interest, but more is designed to take you down at the knees, hit you where it hurts, but get you away from that energized, autonomous, industrious, self-governing aspect and feeling and approach and mindset to life, which is called the state of being empowered, which is the state of healthy narcissistic needs being met, which is having your relationship needs being met, your self-actualization taking place. So that is really kind of a chain of events, or a chain of stages, if you will, developmental needs and developmental stages being met. So you can basically, once you have that, you can progress on and on and on and on. And basically your life is bumped up a notch. Your life is kicked up a notch. You are feeling happier, safer, security. You're seeing it in the relationships. You're seeing it in the energy that you have, the smile, your appearance, how everything comes together. Your life is organized. You don't feel things are in a disarray or a state of fear or anxiety. You're not feeling a sense of intimidation or paranoia, or, you know, it's your happiness is not based on conditions. Your happiness is a chronic undergirding, meaning, you know, underlying energy that you take with you really no matter what you do. It's a state of being whole or healed or self-esteem. And this is generated by a feeling of autonomy, which means I feel I can do as I please, and I'm not essentially going to get in trouble, reprimanded, or be micromanaged, which really the fear emotions tend to micromanage within you your own happiness, your own feeling of autonomy, of I am, and self-esteem. Self-esteem is, you know, being able to value yourself and knowing that you are important and that you are a human being, not a human doing, and your life is not meant to be formulated or designed as a reaction to someone else's needs. In other words, you're not living a life as determined by another. It is self-determined. It is, as Napoleon Hill would say, with defined purpose. And the term is going to come to me here in just a moment once again. A definiteness of purpose, Napoleon Hill, is so important for manifestation and living your life without shame. And shame really is the feeling that you are not good enough, you are not worthy, you cannot be at the head of the helm, you cannot be at the head of the company, you can't be at the head of your happiness. There's always something else, you know, a feather, a shoe that's about to drop, that's going to upset the apple cart. You know, it's going to upset your happiness. Your plans are going to be foiled. You're living constantly stressed. It is not fun, as a viewer had so happily stated. And so really it's oftentimes then to learn and become informed and become, you know, self-reflective and have this as a skill, as your emotional intelligence, your own emotional repertoire. It has a language of itself. In fact, I feel it's one of the most important skills and important, you know, skill sets that you can have really no matter what profession. If you're a doctor, a nurse, an anesthesiologist, a lawyer, a business owner, a store clerk, a mailroom guy, it is important to have and be attuned to emotional intelligence and emotional repertoire, and understanding what, the basics of psychology, the basics of, religion, spirituality, cultures, things of this nature, and to the point that you develop it within yourself is really up to you. Now, they're not going to tell you that in kindergarten, hey kids, I want you all to be, autonomous, self-governing, and without shame. I mean, the teacher doesn't start your day that way. It's just like, get your crayons, get everything out and let's get going here. I mean, there's not like an attitude check. And if that was built into education, that would be wonderful. And I know oftentimes a lot of great school systems will have character education, built in. And nowadays they're addressing more like cyberbullying, and that is really being brought to light. Facebook shaming, Instagram shaming, where, less than ideal pictures are being posted of teenagers, and then mocking them, making fun of them, ostracizing them to get their own yayas off. There's a situation that occurs where an individual is supply, especially at the hands of a psychopath and a malignant narcissist, where they are made helpless. In other words, the everyday things which you can do for yourself, feel for yourself, and decide for yourself, that power is taken away from you at some point in the relationship. At what point, peace and harmony, was the power taken away? Well, let's look at some ideas. Let's look, through some examples, and you can kind of schedule some memories right now and kind of backtrack, and take a moment to reflect here and think about when this might have occurred. In other words, did someone do something for you that you could have easily done for yourself, but they took that right, that responsibility away from you? That owning of your truth, that owning of your personal power, where basically it then left a breeding ground for shame to take place. It's like a perfect petri dish where, all of these little components are put in, and then you've got penicillin growing. You've got the biochemistry of shame growing. You've got the molecules of shame setting up in the neurophysiology. And then one becomes programmed, which means your dials are set to shame. Everything is attuned to that, like a great big TV antenna. If you ever remember back in the day when there used to be TV antennas and you had to, tune it into the TV waves, and you maybe only had 3 channels available or whatever it was, and then you'd flip the dial on, the TV, clunk, 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 and then you'd, work the rabbit ears back in the day. You were tuning into that TV channel. Well, now everything is digitized, so it's a much easier experience, but imagine that your feelings are the same way, where everything is attuned to shame, the shame channel, where everything you see, feel, and become is shame-based. A shame-based identity, a shame-based reality, shame-based relationships that are just multiplying or accumulating a stronger signal, so your body is like really registering or resonating or identifying with that, and then it becomes the I am. So we want to dissolve, we want to purge, we want to detox all those feelings, all that antenna, so the antenna is no longer working. There is no more shame-based antenna. It is removed from your psyche, from your neurophysiology, and your I am. Your identity is not wrapped or polarized around that. It is, it is picking up energy from other places. And to this tune, and we're going to get back to this, but Elon Musk, who is the CEO of Tesla, and just a brilliant, not only business person, but engineer, is, working on very highly innovative quantum physics, which we're talking about a quantum model of healing here, where he's pulling in, which the Peace and Harmony channel is also a proponent of. That is what we are focusing on here, is a quantum model of healing. but where Elon Musk is drawing energy from the air and environment around and then igniting it. So in other words, there was a test, and you can certainly research this yourself, where he's basically set himself on fire and did not get burned. It is very, very advanced. I mean, we're talking, 10, 15, 20 years out technology before it's really harnessed for everyday use. So, if this eventually is, manifesting in our life, we'll be like, wow, back in the day, we didn't have this ability, which would be super cool. I am all about innovation and new product development and, design. That is a passion of mine. And I have, been successful in bringing multi-million-dollar ideas into the marketplace, which we use, for retail and consumer goods. But anyway, so we're talking about, innovation and understanding this now as we look back and understanding how and where and when and why this was set up. So where were you made helpless? Did somebody, even it's the everyday thing, like somebody is pumping your gas for you, where the narcissist or psychopath steps in and disengages your self-empowerment by making it as if they are doing you a courtesy by doing something, yet it is actually your responsibility and your birthright to be able to take care of yourself, to have this self-preserving, mechanism, which is founded on personal value of self and not devalue of self. So it is as the psychopath might state, and a viewer so aptly stated, that, it is the psychopath will respectfully disrespect you. In other words, take away everyday feelings, activities, decisions, and behaviors that you can do for yourself. So now you are set up in a sort of traumatic bond or a feeling of disrespected connection to this person. It's very, very intense. It's very profound. It's very subtle, but its effects are life-changing. Being able to pump gas for yourself. Little things like this. Being able to, open your own door. Yes, it's nice to have the door open for you, but where you're, things are always done in this manner. Getting things set up for you and your own meetings, like things that you could do for yourself, but they're taking it away from you as if they are serving you, but yet you can really do it for yourself. Like making your own doctor's appointments, where they will stop in, say, I can handle this better than you can. Telling you that, you need to do something, the age-inappropriate activities, which they're making you do, and it's disempowering your focus for what you should be doing. Focusing on your homework, or focusing on being able to have a social life, being able to focus on having a religious, spiritual life and directing that for yourself, having these choices made for you, and saying that this is the only way. A very one-directional, rigid sort of decision-making, where they're taking away, your behaviors and decision-making. And I'm going to pull up that comment here if I have a moment. Bear with me one moment. And it's very, very, it's a sort of a very constant anger with which they will do this. And the anger, and the problem is that the anger is projected onto you and is then assimilated or absorbed by the body as if you can't do this for yourself. You are not given the right and the responsibility to be able to do what you need. Your needs are distorted. They are contorted. They are, disfigured or out of shape. Your basic human needs to have self-esteem, love, nurturing, safety, and love. And sex. These are basic human needs. And this then gets perverted or distorted or contorted in a relationship with a narcissist, denying, you events that took place, and as if the denial of this would serve you. In other words, it's better to just suck it up. It's better to just ignore that. And, making these decisions for you as if you cannot trust your own feelings, your own accountability and responsibility to yourself, and then confounding over time, it then becomes very difficult to take back being self-empowered. It's very difficult later in life then to take back the I am. To even know what it is, to even engage in that process is like this, viewers will say it's the golden key. And yes, that's what we're tapping into, but it's like recovery of that birthright. It's recovery of, the pursuit of happiness, freedom and happiness, like that is built into our Constitution, inalienable rights. And so be very, very aware of, see if you can kind of schedule a time or like have a little bit of reflection right now where you feel this basic right was taken away from you, and then reclaim it now. And go back and say, personally, I have the right to my perceptions. I have the right to a safe environment. I have the right to caregivers that I can trust. I have the right to speak my needs. I have the right to speak my voice. I have the right to speak my feelings. These are your inalienable rights. I mean, we live in a country where this is permitted. There are other cultures in the other corners of the world where you cannot speak, you cannot dress, you cannot think, you cannot vote. I mean, it is very, very, regressed and repressed in those areas. Why would you make this your reality if you don't live in those cultures? Do you see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to encourage you to see is that, if you are able to view this channel, there are countries that cannot even pick up YouTube. They cannot pick up Google. And I believe, and viewers can erudiate me or instruct me to the, but if you ever watch the videos, about YouTube and, in the great states of China, and what a wonderful culture, thousands and thousands of years old, but yet their government has restricted them from things like Google, from like Facebook, from YouTube. They cannot pick up these entities in their government has restricted their ability to, participate in those because the government is controlling them and disempowering them. In other words, not giving them access to this need to explore, find information. Excuse me. So do you see where on a mini scale and then a micro scale, how this is really, oppressive, or a narcissistic regime or individual or psychopath can take away. And you can also see it that the psychopath will do this with a smirk. In other words, they know how they are disempowering you. They know that they are manipulating you. They know that they are disengaging you and disconnecting you from the very inner fuel that your own passion, your own self-preservation. They know that they're disengaging you this because isn't it easier to control someone who is wounded versus someone who is empowered? Isn't it easier to have, control over someone who is starving for knowledge versus has the knowledge? Do you see how this takes place? And I hope you get this, and I hope you watch this whole video because it's a very intense and, topic, but I really want you to become very crystal clear on how, when, why, and where this has taken place in your own personal life. And then so you can disengage it, pull the plug on that flashback. Pull the plug on it right now and say, wow, I see that this was done at the hands of someone who did not know better, who was emotionally uninformed, who was, emotionally passive or not engaged or in my best interest. And oftentimes, if this happened to you earlier in life, as a toddler, well, it is life-threatening to make that pronunciation. It is life-threatening to say, oh my God, this is not good for me. I mean, if you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, You can't run a household on your own yet. You know, if you were, you know, a squirrel, maybe you could learn to, you know, build your own nest in a year or two. I don't know for other animals, your other life forms, you know, they can do this. They don't have these problems. But humans are so complex, especially in this very topic. It is really quite amazing. It really is quite profound when you think about it. So, and each individual experience is so customized and so unique. So I want you to become crystal clear when, why, and where this took place so you can dissolve it. You can eradicate it. You can, you know, expunge it from your antenna, from your inner honing system, if you will. So you're not picking up all those, all that static or chaos of shame. Stop resonating. Stop picking up that channel, if you will, because your energy, you do channel information, which is what I'm doing here on the channel, is I'm a channeler for this information for you. I'm receiving it from all sorts of sources in the quantum field, in the invisible, from the, you know, not which meets your eye. I'm drawing this in from collective consciousness. So it's a channel that is, you know, to assist you. But I hope that this is so, you know, advanced for a lot of people. And this might take you a couple weeks or a couple months or even a year or two to really get. It's a progressive healing, but then the shift can take place in a moment. Once you are able to identify it in your own history, you're able to identify the who, the why, the where, the when, and now become empowered by it being able to visualize it and then expunge it, dissolve it, and realize that it was at the hands of someone in their ego needs, which is not in your best interest. So it needs to be expunged and dissolved from your I am, your identity, so that you're then clear the space within to pick up all the other signals, all the other scopes, all the other filters of I have gratitude, I am intelligent, I can care for myself, and I can decide for myself, and I can speak for myself. All this empowered action, decisions, and then drawing forth to you the people, events, and experiences that will accumulate on that side, and then you are then able to create, like we discussed in the recovery journal, and all the emotements, the appointments, scheduling things that you can look forward to, and then are now creating a new reservoir or a pool with which to fish from, i.e. pull your feelings from, pull your new memories, pull your new I am from. You know, I am an adventurer. I am a spiritualist. I am heightened awareness in nature. I am attuning to my higher nature. I'm attuning to my higher self, and I draw forth to me others and individuals who attune to me and are there to satisfy my needs in this experience and then enhance my I am. In other words, all this accumulates and your identity becomes crystallized or defined or sculpted, just like a great sculpture, by having this vision, by having this raw marble out ahead of you, which is you can only really access once you're out of that fear mode. You know, let the fear go. The fear is not serving you. Passion and motivation is the fuel that warms you. It is not the fuel of anger. You know, that's like an icy cold. That's an oxymoron. You need to alchemize and transform that into the heat of your passion, which is usually the heat of your spirit, inspiration, you know, which is where you want to live and live an inspired life. And it's kind of like the eternal flame. Once you have that little flicker, you know, eventually it will not go out. It'll be there for you to call upon. It will be you, but you have to kind of get all the non-flammable or uninspired gunk away from you, because if you're surrounded that tiny little flame with a bunch of junk that's not ignited by your passion, such as toxic people, toxic jobs, all that gunk that is not part of your passion, it's fogging your vision. It's an obstacle to your vision. It's an obstacle to your life. So you need to get rid of that. If you need to fill up 5 dumpsters with junk, if you need to disband some relationships which are not supportive or loving in nature, it's better to be alone in solace and in peace, in meditating, in sitting with some yoga pants, guys and girls. You know, I don't care if you're a guy or a girl, but you can set into that meditative, sacred space within yourself. You'll be better off to have none of the toxicity in just being versus working hard and trying to fight and battle these other people and living in that disempowered state and still having a few little things done for you that are actually taking your power away. You can do it yourself and you will be amazing. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony. Your life will really become sparkly and strong, and you will feel it, you will know it, you will have a certitude, and then all that uncertainty will fade away, and you'll really be able to feel that self-trust. I mean, you will be able to feel it magnetically within you like a power. I mean, you know, people can feel energy, you know, around them that really starts to take off. So it's going to take some time, but stay with it. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love to the Empowered Harmonizers, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.